Hey everybody. Well, welcome to my latest video here on YouTube. Today I'm making a video about my all-time favorite Detroit Red Wings hockey player and NHL hockey player of all time, Steve Yzerman, because just in 2 days from now it is his birthday, May the 9th. And I can't make it on his actual birthday because I'm going to be too busy. So I had to do it as close to his birthday as I could get, and that's today, so here I be. Yep, Steve Yzerman, my all-time favorite Red Wings player. I'd say that I've been started going to Red Wing games back, must have been when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I think. Because my first Red Wings favorite player was Willie Huber, and he got traded in 1983. But I used to think that the biggest player was the best player in hockey, and Willie Huber was the biggest player in the league when I first got into hockey. So I thought he was the best, and he played for the Wings, so he became my favorite, and the Wings became my favorite team, and so I've seen Steve Yzerman since his rookie year, way back in 1983, all the way through to the end of his career, 2006, but been to a lot of his games back between about 1984 and 83, 84, and 1991, I suppose, or 90, when I really stopped going to the Joe Louis Arena for Wings games. Remember the last game I went to was in the 90-91 season, I think, or 89-90 season against Vancouver. That was back when Darryl Stanley and Bob Probert had a big old fight. I sure remember that. But here we go about Steve Yzerman. Stephen Gregory Yzerman, that's his full name. Born on May the 9th, 1965. So he is going to be age 61 in 2 days. Before I get into this too far, I should say, back there on the TV in the background, you might be able to see that. I'll move back further so you guys can see this while I'm doing this video. Is a highlight video of Steve Yzerman's playoff goals between 1987 and 2004. So most of them are on there. 65 of his 70 career playoff goals are on there. So I'm going to move back here so you can see that in the background while I'm talking. So yeah, Steve Yzerman, he's a Canadian former professional hockey player who is currently the Executive Vice President and General Manager of the Detroit Red Wings, where he spent all 22 seasons of his NHL playing career. He is a Detroit sports figure, some might say legend, and a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame since 2009. After his retirement as a player, he served in the front office of the Red Wings, and then as General Manager of the Tampa Bay Lightning, forgive him for that one, while also being Executive Director for Team Canada in 2 Olympics. Prior to the 1986-87 season, at age 21, Yzerman was named captain of the Red Wings, replacing his former teammate, Danny Gare, and continuously served for the next 2 decades, dressing as captain for over 1,300 games, retiring as the longest-serving captain of any team in North American Major League sports history. Locals and lifelong Red Wing fans like me often simply refer to Yzerman as Stevie Y, Stevie Wonder, or the Captain. Early on, one of the hardest things for hockey people, particularly broadcasters, to grasp was how to pronounce his last name. I especially remember Joe Bowen, the radio and TV play-by-play announcer for the Toronto Maple Leafs, had an especially hard time with it. I heard Yzerman, 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 just to name a few. Yzerman led the Wings to 5 first-place regular season finishes and 3 Stanley Cup championships, 1997, 1998, and 2002. He retired in 2006 among the NHL leaders in total career points and went on to a further career in NHL and international management. Yzerman won numerous awards during his career, including the Lester B. Pearson Award, Most Outstanding Player in the 1988-89 season, Conn Smythe Trophy, Most Valuable Player of the Stanley Cup Playoffs in 1998, the Selke Trophy as the league's best defensive forward in 2000, and the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy for Perseverance in 2003. I think that was at the time when he was spending a lot of time in the hyperbaric chamber, as I recall. He had a lot of back injuries toward the end of his career, and he went into that hyperbaric chamber as a last-ditch effort, I think, to heal himself up enough to be able to play in the playoffs for the Wings. He was definitely dedicated to playing for that team for his entire career. He played in 10 All-Star games and was the first team All-Star in 2000 and a member of the All-Rookie team in 1984. Yzerman has represented his country in several international tournaments as a member of Canada's national hockey team, Team Canada. In 2002, Yzerman won an Olympic gold medal, making him one of the few players to win an Olympic gold medal and the Stanley Cup in the same year. Yzerman was the general manager of Team Canada for the 2007 IIHF World Championship, which they won. Yzerman was appointed Executive Director of Team Canada on October 7, 2008 for the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver. Team Canada went on to win the gold medal by defeating the United States. You all remember the Sidney Crosby golden goal. Yzerman was again appointed Executive Director of Team Canada on March 5th, 2012 for the 2014 Winter Olympics. I believe that was in Sochi. Canada went on to win their second straight gold medal after defeating Sweden. He was inducted into the IIHF Hall of Fame in 2014. So Yzerman was born in Cranbrook, British Columbia. When he played, he weighed between 170 pounds and, as a rookie, and 185 for most of his career. His height is 5'11". He played the center position and shot right-handed. He won a silver medal for Team Canada at the 1996 World Cup and at 2 World Championships, 1985 in Czechoslovakia and 1989 in Sweden. He won a gold medal at the 1984 Canada Cup on home ice and a bronze at the 1983 World Junior Championships in the Soviet Union. His first NHL game. All right. After having been drafted by the Red Wings in the first round, 4th overall in the 1983 entry draft from the Peterborough Petes of the Ontario Hockey League, Yzerman made his NHL debut wearing uniform number 19, or, to paraphrase global TV sports anchor Jim Taddy, I think that's who we used to say it this way. This is going to be a little long list here, but wearing Keith Allen, Dave Amadio, Steve Black, Mark Boileau, Ivan Boldarev, Yzerman's maybe immediate predecessor with that number, in '83, Danny Bolduc, Roland Cloutier, Murray Costello, Mal Davis, Bob Dillabow, Gary Doak, Jerry Eamon, Rick Foley, Bill Folk, Val Fontaine, Pete Gogan, John Hamel, Ted Harris, Paul Henderson, John Hillworth, Gord Hollingworth, Steve Rimnack, Dennis Hull, Lou Jankowski, Mike Corney, Jim Krulicki, Randy Ladouceur, another maybe, wore it in '83 also, Parker McDonald, John McMillan, Lou Markin, Gary McAdam, Tom McCarthy, Billy McNeil, Wayne Muloin, Don Poyle, Barry Salavara, Brian Smith, Vic Stasiuk, Pete Stankowski, Gord Strait, Jerry Topazzini, Eric Vale, Doug Volmar, Bob Wall, Rick Wilson, Mike Wong, and Larry Zeidel's old number 19. On October the 5th, 1983, at Winnipeg Arena against the Jets. From that day forward, no one else would ever or will ever wear that number for the Red Wings, as it has been officially retired. Look for some of those past Red Wing number 19s in future Red Wing of the Day videos. A couple of those guys, actually. I recognize their names from having interesting records. Gord Strait, I know he used to hold the record for having the longest career, most games without ever scoring a point in the NHL. And the other guy was, there was Gord Strait. And Larry Zeidel, he was known as The Rock. One of the toughest guys ever to play in the NHL or minor leagues or anywhere. Heard Don Cherry talk a lot about him on Coach's Corner through the years. Larry The Rock Zeidel. So in that first game, which ended in a 6-6 tie after overtime, no shootouts in those days. Don't get me started on these rules nowadays, but no shootouts back in 1983, the first game of the 1983-84 season for both teams, Winnipeg and Detroit. Yzerman scored the first goal and point of his NHL career at 14:46 of the first period against goalie Doug Soutart, assisted by Eddie Johnstone and Bob Mano. It gave the Wings a 3-1 lead at the time. Yzerman later assisted on Detroit's last goal, scored by Johnstone with a second assist from Reed Larson at 9:11 of the third period. Detroit's goalie was Eddie Mio, and both goalies went the distance despite each allowing 6 goals. It was a different time. Not as quick of a hook back in those days as they have today. Yzerman had 3 shots on goal in the game. Larson had 3 assists in the game to lead Detroit scorers. Scott Arneal, who's now a coach of someone in the NHL, can't remember who. He had a hat trick, and Laurie Boschman had 3 assists to lead the Jets' attack. Shots on goal totaled 35 for Winnipeg and 27 for Detroit. So bad save percentages by both goalies in that game. The first penalty of Yzerman's career. Yzerman, a very gentlemanly yet intense player throughout his career, didn't take his first penalty until his 4th game on October the 12th, 1983 at Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton against the Oilers in an 8-3 loss. That might be part of the reason why he took a penalty, frustration. I remember that being a very common result for Detroit during the Gretzky era in Edmonton, being beaten by the Oilers a lot, especially in the playoffs. His penalty was for interference at 18-19 of the 3rd period. Gretzky, by the way, scored 2 goals and 3 assists, including scoring the game winner early in the 2nd period. Part of the reason why I used to call him Wayne the Pain. Yzerman assisted on the game's next goal a minute and a half later by Bolderev on the power play, with a 2nd assist by captain Danny Gare, which ruined Andy Moog's shutout bid. The first fight of Steve Yzerman's career. Yes, he did have one. As I said, Yzerman was a gentleman on the ice, so he went a fur piece before receiving his first 5-minute fighting major. It was in career game number 70 on March 8, 1984 at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit in a 6-3 Wings victory over the St. Louis Blues. With tough guys like Jack Carlson from the brothers on Slapshot, Jack Carlson, one of those guys. Tough guys like him and Rob Ramage and Brian Sutter in the lineup of the Blues. Yzerman squared off against Swedish forward Jörgen Pettersson, 6'2" and 185, but only 117 penalty minutes in 435 career regular season NHL games. It was quite likely the first fight for Pettersson too, as this was the first season in which he ended up with an odd number of penalty minutes for the season. Yzerman, in fact, registered a Gordie Howe hat trick in this game, beating Rick Hines at 3:52 of the 3rd period with assists by Ron Duguay and Larson, and earlier assisting with John Stone on Dugay's power play marker at 1:36 of the 2nd period. I remember Rick Hines being a guest on Don Cherry's TV show there, way back in the 80s, called Don Cherry's Grapevine. No word on who won the fight between Yzerman and Pettersson, but Steve did pick up a minor for slashing to go along with it. So, draw your own conclusions there. For the record, Yzerman had 924 penalty minutes in 1,514 career regular season NHL games. So he wasn't a total choir boy, I'd say. Yzerman's best games. Well, in terms of points in one game, the best Yzerman was able to do was 6 points in 2 occasions. The first of those came on March 15, 1989 against Edmonton, his 427th career regular season game. At Northlands Coliseum, the site of his first penalty, he scored 2 goals and 4 assists for his first career 6-point game. Detroit won the game 8-6. Classic old Edmonton game back in the 80s. Bill Ranford was in goal for 3 of his points, Grant Fuhrer for 2, and 1 went into an empty net. Yzerman scored Detroit's 2nd goal at 12:57 of the 1st period, assisted by Gerard Gallant. He then assisted on their 3rd goal at 10:30 of the 2nd period, scored by the late Steve Chiasson, God rest his soul, with the primary assist from Doug Huda. He then got the primary assist on their 4th goal on the power play at 19:34 of the 2nd period, scored by Gallant, with a secondary assist by Dave Barr. Fuhrer replaced Ranford at the start of the 3rd period, and 7:07 in, Yzerman got the primary assist on Detroit's 6th goal, a short-handed tally by John Shabbat, with a secondary assist from Rick Zombo. On their 7th goal, Yzerman got the primary assist on Paul McLean's goal at 18:31, with a secondary assist from Gallant. Then, with 21 seconds to go in the game, he scored his 2nd goal into the empty net with assists from Gallant and Lee Norwood. Yzerman's 2nd 6-point game was on February 16, 1990, against Philadelphia at Joe Louis Arena in a 9-6 Red Wings win. This was his 494th career regular season game. He also got 2 goals and 4 assists in this game against the Flyers and their goalie Pete Peters. I also remember him being with Boston a long time. Yzerman got the secondary assist on Detroit's 2nd goal 6 minutes into the game on a power play by Bernie Federko, also assisted by Shabbat. That was Bernie Federko's only year with the Red Wings, after they traded Adam Oates for him. Bad trade. He got the primary assist 2:47 into the 2nd period on Chiasson's goal, also assisted by Gallant, Detroit's 3rd goal. At 5:07 of the second, he scored the fourth goal shorthanded, assisted by Sean Berg. 6:43 into the third period, he got the only assist on their sixth goal, scored by Gallant. Then at 12:50, he scored their seventh on a power play, assisted by Zombo and Federico. And finally, at 16:43, he picked up the secondary assist on Gallant's second goal, with the primary assist going to Sheldon Kennedy. He must have been a rookie back then. This was their 8th goal of the game. And Yzerman's last game. Yzerman's last game suiting up for the Red Wings was on May the 1st, 2006, in Game 6 of the Western Conference quarterfinals at Rexall Place in Edmonton against the Oilers. The Wings lost 4-3. Yzerman scored his last NHL point in this game. The primary assist on Detroit's second goal, scored by Robert Lang on the power play at 14:02 of the second period, with a secondary assist from Matthew Schneider against Oilers goalie Dwayne Rollison. So, from Doug Soutart to Dwayne Rollison, such was the arc of a career that encompassed 1,514 regular season and 196 playoff games, for a grand total of 1,710 NHL games. In the playoffs, his teams had a 109-87 win-loss record. He scored 70 goals, 115 assists for 185 points. His career playoff plus-minus was -11. He had 84 penalty minutes, 40 even-strength goals, 27 on the power play, and 3 shorthanded. 12 of his were game-winning goals. He took 584 shots on goal for a shooting percentage of 12.0. In the regular season, Yzerman scored 692 goals, 1,063 assists for 1,755 points, and a plus-minus of +184. 440 of his goals were at even strength, 202 on the power play, and 50 shorthanded. 94 of his were game-winning goals. He had 637 assists at even strength, 393 on the power play, and 33 shorthanded. He took 4,602 shots on goal for a shooting percentage of 15.0. And now, the top 3 and bottom 3. This is kind of a little favorite section of mine that I like to do on these sports-related videos. So, after all that, who were the top 3 teams Yzerman did the best against, and who were the 3 he did the worst against? Of the teams that were in existence over his entire career, Yzerman's top 3 were: number 1, the Chicago Blackhawks, 154 points in 134 games. Number 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs, 153 points in 111 games. And number 3, the Minnesota North Stars / Dallas Stars, 139 points in 118 games. Yzerman's bottom 3 were: number 1, the team that he did the worst against, the Montreal Canadiens, 42 points in 39 games. Number 2, the Hartford Whalers / Carolina Hurricanes, 43 points in 43 games. And number 3, the Boston Bruins, 44 points in 40 games. The results are, of course, skewed towards the teams that he played against the most, and against those that he played against the least, but I didn't have time to calculate his points per game average against everybody, but it still gives you some idea. It's the best that I could do with the information readily available to me. 9,069 hockey cards have thus far been released on Steve Yzerman between 1982-83 and 2025-26, according to the trading card database. No, I don't own all 9,069 of them, luckily for you. But I do own 16 that I will show you between 1984-85 and 1996-97. So, for the last little section of this video, I'm going to show you some of my hockey card collection of the Steve Yzerman collection that I have. So here they are. The very first one is his rookie card. Yes, sir. This is a very valuable card worth, according to the trading card database, $102.50. I think I bought this for $50 back in London, Ontario, several years ago now. There he is against the Washington Capitals. That would be in Washington at the Landover Capitol Center way back then, because the teams wore dark uniforms on the road back then, which they opposite do now. They wear their dark uniforms at home for some reason, I don't know why. But anyway, here's the back of it. A little spiel about him back there on the back. Making his NHL debut, Steve scored a goal and picked up an assist versus the Jets' Doug Soutart, 10-5-83. I did not get that off of this card, but I found it somewhere else. He was Detroit's leading scorer, as well as the top scoring rookie in the league. His 39 goals and 87 points both set Red Wings records for a first-year player. And at the time, he lived where he was born, Cranbrook, British Columbia. And they have his weight listed at 170 on this card. And next we have 1988-89. That their card was 1984-85 O-Pee-Chee that I just showed you. This here is 1988-89 O-Pee-Chee, Steve Yzerman. Another road picture, game action. Taking a little rest before a face-off, looks like. On this card, his weight is given at 175. It does give his last amateur club as the Peterborough Petes, 1982-83. And this time his home is listed as Nepean, Ontario, near Ottawa. And now it says, had 2 hat tricks and led Detroit with 6 shots, or not 6 shots on goal, 6 short-handed goals in 87-88. Had 2 hat tricks and 6 short-handed goals in 87-88. Right on. And now, there's more. 1989-90 O-Pee-Chee right there. Another road picture of old Steve. Don't know if we can tell who that one's against. Oh, I don't know. It might be Washington again. It looks like red and white uniform in the background there of the goalie. Number 83, this card is. 5'11", 185 is now his weight, 185 pounds. And this one says, Steve registered 2 hat tricks versus Flyers in 1988-89 season. He had 22 hat tricks in his career, Steve Yzerman did. Yep. And now, this card here is a team card showing Steve Yzerman with Gerard Gallant on the ice against the New Jersey Devils, 1989-90 season. This is the 90-91 O-Pee-Chee card, number 133. Team card. And here is Yzerman's regular player card from 90-91 O-Pee-Chee. There it is, another road picture of Mr. Yzerman. And on the back of this one it says, Steve was named the NHL's greatest talent in 1989 player vote. Wow. You know, a lot of good players for that. And here we have O-Pee-Chee Premier 1990-91. Another road picture. All these pictures are on the road for some reason. Didn't want to go to Joe Louis and take any photos, I guess. This one doesn't really say a whole lot on the back at all, except for his season stats and career stats there. No trivia on the back. And here we have the score card from 1990-91. Right there. Yes, sir, it's another road picture. And this one says a lot on the back. It says, Steve has rewritten much of the Red Wings record book. His 62 goals in 1989-90 marked his second straight season with 60 or more. No other Red Wing in history has reached that level. In 7 years, Steve has climbed to 5th on the Red Wings all-time scoring list, behind only NHL Hall of Fame members Gordie Howe, Alex Delvecchio, Norm Ullman, and Ted Lindsay. A smooth skater with elusive moves, Steve made the NHL All-Rookie team in 1983-84. A 4-time All-Star, he was named 1988-89 Player of the Year by the Hockey News after his 65-goal, 90-assist output certified his superstar status. That was his greatest season of all time in the NHL as far as points in a season. He has had 3 straight 100-point seasons, it says. And here we go with another card. This one is 91-92 O-Pee-Chee. That's a Red Wings team card as well. And, oops, yeah, 91-92 O-Pee-Chee. The back is a little weird. I didn't realize it was this color. Blue and yellow, boys, oh boys. Yep, so this here is just a bunch of stats about the Red Wings that year, compared to the other teams in the league. And here's a 91-92 O-Pee-Chee Steve Yzerman card. Once again, a road picture. What do you know? But in the background, there's a Harris sign on the boards back there. Not sure if that means it's not in Las Vegas. They didn't have a team back then. But what do we have here? It says, well, now he's living in Detroit, Michigan, according to this card. He moved away from Nepean. It says, gifted captain, great ice vision on the back of this card. True, true, true. And now this card here is interesting because he's wearing a 75th anniversary NHL jersey from the Detroit Red Wings, which is actually a Detroit Cougars jersey from 1927-28 when they first, or 26-27 when they first joined the league, way back then. One of the original 6 teams. And that is actually a home picture. There it is. The white with the red trim instead of the red with the white trim for a change. This one doesn't say anything on the back as far as trivia goes either, just the statistics of vital statistics, you know what I mean? His weight is given at 183 on this card. So basically the same for most of his career, around 185. Here's a 91 score card. Canadian, number 190 in the set. Once again on the road. There's the Red Wings bench in the background, shooting a shot, a slapper. Don't know who it's against, though. Can't really tell. Oh, it might be the Flyers. There's a guy in the crowd with a Flyers jersey on, so it could be against the Flyers in Philadelphia. And this card on the back says, the NHL is full of consistent 20-goal scorers, but there aren't too many people you can bank on for 50 a year. Steve is one of them. He topped that mark for the 4th consecutive season in 1991. Steve had 3 hat tricks by the end of January and played in his 5th All-Star game. He scored a career-high 65 goals in 88-89. Yes, sir. There's more. Guess what? Here's a card from 91 score, which is called The Franchise. Steve Yzerman, Red Wings. And there he is against the Islanders, I believe. Yep, the Islanders. Number 22 for the Islanders, possibly? Not Mike Bossy. He was gone by then. But this one says, Steve has 178 goals and 212 assists over the past 3 seasons. The Red Wings have scored 874 times over the span, meaning Steve has had a hand in 44.6% of them. Wow. One-man team? I guess they were back then. And here we have the last O-Pee-Chee card that I have of Steve Yzerman, 92-93, the 25th anniversary season of O-Pee-Chee, doing hockey cards. And that is, again, a road picture from the 75th anniversary season of the NHL, as you can see by that little logo on the jersey. And this one says, 2 years ago, Steve became the first Red Wing ever to post back-to-back 60-goal seasons. He's one of the trickiest players in hockey, and his magic is featured in dozens of highlight reels. The Red Wings captain scored 9 game winners last year and played an important role off the ice in ending the strike. Yep, y'all remember that strike? That was so bad. And now, here is a card from 92-93 O-Pee-Chee, which is a throwback to the design of his rookie card, that's not from his rookie year, though. That picture is actually a picture that has never, at the time, been used on a card by O-Pee-Chee before. There is a reproduction of his rookie card on the back, right there. Yes, sir. That's it. So, yeah, it says, this card front features Steve Yzerman in a photo never before used on an O-Pee-Chee card, shown here with the original border design from 1984-85, his rookie card. This card back is a reproduction of his card RC number 67 from that year, and in near mint condition is valued at $56. So it's gone up since then, thank God. In the 4th edition of the Charlton Standard Catalog of Hockey Cards. I have that. And the rest of it's in French. Same thing in French, because it's a Canadian card. And this here is from the last set of cards that I have that has a Steve Yzerman card in it. And that is there against Mr. Todd Harvey of the Dallas Stars in Dallas. Game action. And this one on the back is a different game action shot from a game against Washington with Joe Ricci diving to try and block his shot there. If I can hold it up high enough and steady enough for you. There you can see it. Number 29 of the Capitals is Joe Ricci back then. Yes, sir. And this one doesn't have a whole lot to say on the back except his statistics for that previous year, 95-96, and his career statistics in a few categories. And the last card I have is also from the 96-97 Leaf set, and it is a checklist card, but it does have a picture of Steve Yzerman on it with no helmet. Imagine that. But they had to wear helmets his whole career. He wasn't that old. He didn't get into the league until they made all the players wear helmets, except the ones that had started before they mandated helmets, who were able to keep doing their old thing. But there it is. That is the last of my card collection of Steve Yzerman. So, I hope you all enjoyed this little look at my favorite all-time Red Wing and basically NHL hockey player of all time, Steve Yzerman. Right on. I'm still working on that old in memoriam / tribute video, which I'm going to do one of these days when I get it finished. I don't know when. But when it's done, I will have it for you all. So have a good day. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.